are no statue. Give him guts. I told you I wasn't going away. You got your shot. Now give me mine.
Why don't you get the hell out of here?
Get the fuck out of here, man. Please.
Shut up, old man. I ain't going nowhere. And why don't you tell all these nice folks why you've been ducking me? Politics, man. This country wants to keep me down. Keep everybody weak. But this bum is taking the easy matches. Fighting other bums. I'm telling you and everybody here, I'll fight him anywhere, anytime, for nothing. Give me that same chance. The way you've been ducking is a disgrace. If he ain't no coward, why don't he fight me then?
I don't care what you rank. You don't get no shot, and I mean that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hi, I'm Katrina. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So some pretty good news to report. Demetrius Andrade has finally moved up to 168 pounds, and he has signed the contract to fight the #1 contender, Zach Parker, who's an undefeated power puncher, by the way. The reason why this is such great news, because this is a segue into a much bigger fight for Demetrius Andrade. You see, because Eddie Hearn and Andrade and Team Benavidez, they have already come to a mutual agreement to face each other, assuming they get past their next opponents. David Benavidez, he'll be facing David Lemieux next, right? So I expect both of them to win, Andrade and David Benavidez, and then we will get a massive fight towards the end of this year. The two boogeymen facing each other. That's going to be a hell of an affair. And there's going to be an enormous amount of pressure on Canelo Alvarez to face the winner. He can no longer use the, oh, I don't fight Mexicans excuse. He can no longer use the, who has he fought excuse. First of all, he can never use that excuse because he fought Yildirim and Rocky Fielding. But all of those excuses will be out of the window when we get a winner of the boogeyman versus the boogeyman, Andrade versus David Benavidez. Canelo Alvarez has already hinted that, maybe, if they fight against each other. Once again, right now, Canelo Alvarez is finally starting to use all of the talking points that the fans on the internet use to defend him. And he said, they should fight each other and then maybe I will fight the winner. He says, maybe I will fight the winner. Now, see, it's more easier for fans on the internet to just come up with a bunch of stuff that makes no sense because they can't really be held accountable. They remain anonymous on the internet. But when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, he has a real identity. We know who he is, right? He's not hiding behind a keyboard with a whole bunch of different fake profiles. So when he says something, he will be held accountable. And we know Canelo Alvarez's track record. So once again, like I said before, he can't come out and say, oh, well, they need to fight someone. Who has Andrade fought? Who has David Benavidez fought? He can't say that because 85 to 90% of Canelo Alvarez's opponents has never faced anyone. And Canelo was more than willing to fight them. In fact, he was even willing to give some of them extra money, like Caleb Plant, for example. He was willing to give these opponents more money than he even wanted to give them, just because he knew that it was going to be a guaranteed win. So with that being said, while it is really good news that Andrade is finally in a position to get a really, really big, meaningful fight that will catapult his career, at the same time, we are still seeing the double standards, the racial double standards that exist in the sport of boxing. I tell you guys all the time, boxing is based on race, nationality in that order. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is read the comments on the internet and you'll see what different race of people are saying when it comes to black fighters. You will see a stark contrast of what the same fan who's not black would say in the comment section when Deontay Wilder would get a win as opposed to when Tyson Fury gets a win, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing up the racial double standards, because WBO rules, according to the WBO rules, whenever a champion moves up in weight, he's supposed to be the immediate mandatory for the WBO champion at that higher weight class, meaning Demetrius Andrade, he should have been the mandatory instantly. He shouldn't have to fight Zach Parker to become the -- 1 contender. In fact, they're saying that even after he gets past Zach Parker, there's still going to be another title eliminator. When Usyk, when he moved up to heavyweight as the WBO champion, he was instantly Anthony Joshua's mandatory. When Lomachenko lost his first fight, he immediately got a WBO title shot. In his very next fight, when the WBO rules clearly states you cannot get a title shot coming off of a loss. I also tell you guys all the time that the racism that exists in boxing is a reflection of the racism across the globe, mainly in our country. But speaking of a reflection of the racism across the globe, Africans are being denied access to the trains to leave Ukraine to go to Poland. And it gets even worse, because once they get to Poland, they're being denied access into that country. They're only accepting Ukrainians. And it's not a situation where Ukraine is only allowing the women and the children to leave first, because they are still denying the African women and children on the bus. They're not letting any Africans or other people in Ukraine of color on the bus until all of the Ukrainians leave first. And let me just say this, before some of these racist Mexican fans start filling up my comment section saying, who cares about those black bastards and et cetera, I wouldn't let them in either. You know, the type of typical comments I see from the racist portion of the Mexican fans. Before you even start saying things like this, just remember, America does not allow entry of Mexicans to just cross the border and come to America for a better life. Only white people get this treatment. So if any of you guys trying to convince yourself that you're white because your skin is lighter, white people don't see it that way. They don't see it that way at all. They don't see you as Ukrainian, Russian, English, or Polish. They don't see you as a white European. Sure, you have some European blood, but black people have European blood. It doesn't mean anything. So my point is, you're wasting your time trying to be a racist when you don't even qualify to be a racist. Matter of fact, not only are you being denied entry into America today, but if you were in Ukraine right now, you would be sitting there with the African students because they're sitting there with Indians as well. These are tourists, these are students, and they won't allow them on the bus. Matter of fact, check out this clip.
And I know right now there's somebody who's like, Trevor, again with the racism. What is it with black people and the racism? Always talking about race. You know, I go years at a time without even thinking about racism. It's easy. Why don't you try? Well, maybe the reason black people are always talking about racism is because racism is always happening to the black people. And we're seeing it again now in Ukraine.
African and Indian students stuck in Ukraine are accusing officials of discriminating against them and pushing them back from getting to the border.
This video posted to Twitter reads, "Watch how they are threatening to shoot us," saying they're at the Ukraine-Poland border. The police and army are refusing to let Africans cross. They only allow Ukrainians.
Foreign students who faced segregation and racism at the border crossing to Poland. Some say they were told they can't board buses there because they were meant for Ukrainians only.
Videos have been posted on social media said to show black people being prevented from boarding a train and left stranded at a railway station in Lviv as Ukrainians were allowed on.
Humanitarian crisis in Europe continues to grow and increasingly expose fault lines. Hundreds of thousands of refugees streaming in from Syria and elsewhere. But as the arguing continues, so does the suffering.
As Europe struggles for a solution, refugees forced to zigzag from one country to another with no clear path.
The EU has effectively paid Turkey to keep Syrians from getting to Greece.
Poland had pledged to take in a number of the refugees, saying now that it is not going to do that.
We will not be receiving migrants from the Middle East and North Africa in Poland.
This is Hungary's solution to the flood of refugees pouring in. A 13-foot fence topped with razor wire, running about 115 miles along its border with Serbia.
Police in riot gear told they can shoot rubber bullets at anyone who tries to cross.
Hostility here in Hungary. Video shocking the world. The Hungarian camerawoman kicking that girl as she runs from police. And this, as a man runs by carrying a small child, she trips him and he falls to the ground.
Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban had a message for the migrants themselves.
The moral human thing is to make clear, please don't come.
That's right. Anyone that is not white is what this man just said, and what all of them were displaying. So the next time you go on the internet and you want to diss Black Lives Matter and you want to make fun of George Floyd dying, or you're defending other races like Joe Rogan, this is what they think about you. And when it comes to the Ukrainian president, if you're going to sit here and ask other countries to help you, the least you can do is condemn the racial discrimination that's taking place in your country right now when it comes to people of color being denied access on a train to exit the country. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Andrade-Parker Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to Andrade-Parker.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.